I've been tagged. Death to the Shah. Death to the Shah. Let's see how long I can go. It's quite late, yeah. Midwinter has passed, but we must finish the task. Let me invite some people who are awake. Death to the Shah, death to the Shah, death to the Shah. Some people are being invited. Oh well. Sasha and I will read to one another. David once convinced me. I thought I'd eaten my parents. To add insult to injury is a phrase that's always interested me. So I might say, when my mother got sick with a disease from which she died, she said it was probably all our fault because what they call court or attempt to love, we'd in fact punched her. I read some old writer who said to learn about life you have to be in court or camp. This is what obsessions are. For anyone who doesn't already know what it means, when you wash your hands, you still have yet to wash what you touched. While you're beginning to wash them, and the end, there's no end but forgetting or die in a frenzy of unremitting love, or take heroin, or take a stash of it for dying. The Antarctic explorers, or like double agents in movies, or even plain soldiers, or emotions jaded hijackers. Though freezing to death is said to be euphoric, and Scott wrote 12 letters while he died at the pole, but not like the people in Guyana who died of cyanide in Kool-Aid in bubonic plague type contortions on the bodies of their children. Wait, I thought I was going to talk about reading and writing and not desire to renew love to life in proportion to obsession by endless fucking to reveal in Yokken Town we write all night. Not that it's natural or even known about, just to fill up some space as existence is generous and frenzied, and to alight in a certain spot outside, to write. Like a bird migrating or returning, this town is now a feeding station, as it once was, just a tavern or an inn on the road between two places more well known. Now the space is filled. What of overpopulation? We don't pretend to die, but we write invisibly, hoarding our time and cherishing our family. We don't even want to be famous, but we do hope to survive. We meet in the hallway, which becomes the road between the rooms in which we write. We publish books and a magazine, United Artists. We sell our letters, we apply for grants. Lewis's parents send us $150 every month, which is enough for food. Writing is a need, and when there's a time, a pleasure, living together on the schedules of babies in the country's luxury. Our lives are circumscribed. We lack distractions. At random, we have visitors, usually all at once. Some people don't seem to like the children, and when they come to see us, they ignore them, as if the sentiment children were as unintentional as our presence in ironic New England. Some say this place is too pretty or too clean, not Marxist or Leninist or Maoist enough. Why live anywhere? Some people must live somewhere, or cannot, or do not want to move. Everywhere there is, has everything there is to look at. Some are even afraid to move. I understand that. Perhaps I've thought it a bit too much about it. San Francisco, I always thought was too pretty, but not these small cold hills. Often someone walks in the door, and the first thing they say is, "Why do you live here among these tight-assed Yankees in the cold?" I say. It's best it's me who does. I'm just closed-mouthed, secretive, and stodgy as any Yankee in my way. I love to work and pay the hideous price of seeking infinite knowledge in this orphan place with its changing light, pure air, temperate extremes of weather's drama, beauty of self-denial, hills and sybarite trees, marshes, bogs, swamps, rocks, caves and small towns, scenes of glacial happenings, still part of the world, everywhere, somewhat like expression as far as I can see, though I'm not the type who minds the cold. And in the past, I've even told I'm just as cold and in winter dark and unchanging as these coldly charming hills, whose visages alarm Nathaniel Hawthorne, a man, a man. If we endeavour to speak thus, as nervous as I, Jesus. I don't mind the beauty of it all, some say. The life we have is wrong because we've been lucky and don't work in a factory or at CETA job, CETA. But it's petty to spend poetry complaining unless I were a pilgrim in the Canterbury Tales, and then I could say anything. So just because we're married, don't dismiss us, don't forget to include us. All the gay anthologies as a family, we're still crazy and repentant and rushing the gorgeous past as ice creeps into the house. If again I've said too much, maybe the rest is as if we're simple, but I can't defend our hearts tongue in cheek as if they were recalcitrant to love, and we'd already begun to look alike. We always were, as we've become, alternating in our habits, at once rushing to be loved ridiculously freely, at once hiding the place of love in the closet, the doors of which are never closed. So the children call it the airport, as coincidences, simple complications, decorum, and the order of meanings astound us more up or over here. It's all too abstract, just to clear some space as if in the kitchen are not really clean. Is loving to be outside the same as love, just walking and inheriting plain movement from relative time, which is accurate, unlike volume and distance. Measuring even love, the way something in the distance stays the same when you might say, those clouds are chasing me. It might not prevent me from ceasing to love only you. Love prevents my knowing. Some loves are overwhelming, like the unknown but fashionable perfection of an atomic clock. I say there is nothing, even a small town, with nothing in it, and nobody to talk to stop me loving you. A song, I am bewildered then by death. We all read all about it like fear, as if day we make sure like another to put in time being crazy for fear. We will not ever die. We won't lose our touch for death. And every time I think I got it down, I learn I'm not for death at all. I am depressed like a plant by midwinter's intransigence, as if it were a baby without any enlightening, daring, or soft skin. I know the purpose of human stubbornness because I know the person. But what's this unemotional, drastic nature of the place? The only answer I can think of is I know. I didn't have to learn to love you. So I only see the headless winter as a spectacular or boring thing. Not like saying, fuck you, in a rage, the fallen tree, no analogy to age or disease, but all as explicit surprise. And if you knew all about it, you'd find in your emotion to excite plain seeing, you had probably left out the most important part, mistaking the sights for an audience. I think I know the trees will never love me, and we're here as accidentally to eat, sleep, and work in an ordinary way, to be astonished by will, as time is slow to be amazed by speed and pleasure, frantic natures, as fast and reactionary as writing in lines to learn what I once began to do, and then left off like a baby's talent for walking at birth. I will try to go too fast. As if the press of everything were identical, I type up a poem and head for home. Clear letters on an androgynous paper. I sit in the family table where it's a struggle to create both staminate and pistillate in the same time, inflorescence of cluster. I feel a great impatience. All the people in the family have sensuous lips. I say like a man or woman who does head home. With all that dirt under my nails, I know nothing but the lassitude of love. Half an hour of sunset, all the windows are frozen shut, like psychology. I have to hammer the sides with my fists to get them open. Often I wonder if I think the same things I thought as a child when I didn't know the future of a form. Now I look different. For a woman to look different is still more difficult, though each moving being who changes thinks, than for the men of the tribe. A tribe is one of three, from the Latin into which the Romans were originally divided. Latin, Sabine, Etruscan, and the tribe together with families, slaves, and adopted strangers meant a recognized community plus a form of the future to become. Like the phylae of ancient Greece, or the 12 divisions of the Israelites, or the group of people or animals or plants with some of the habits and ideas, like the futures of women who may think they've lost their charms, or the men who think they've changed beyond recognition, like a community or person who thinks, if only we could get some sleep, like Chaucer, or Latin Sabine, or Etruscan mother who didn't have the time, chance, education, or notion to write some poetry so I could know what she thought about things. There are some who did anyway. There's Anne Bradstreet and Cy Wen G, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Alice Notley, and me, Adrienne Rich, Sylvia Plath, Anne Sexton, Eleanor Wiley, Louise Bogan, Denise Levertov. There's Barbara Guest, HD, and Harriet Beecher Stowe, Maureen Owen, Nikki Giovanni, Diane de Prima, Murasaki Shikbu, Fanny Howe and Susan Howe, Muriel Ruxaya, Mina Loy, Noreen Neerdecker, Gwendolyn Brooks, Maria Tsvetsieva, and Anna Akhmatova. There's Rebecca Wright, all the saints. I read in the papers that women live longer because they do all of this. As they begin to become more like men in all these ways, they'll die equally soon. I forgot to mention George Sand, as if death were not life, and I was dressed as a man racing around as a woman among a race of women too relegated before to birth like Mary Shelley and divisions of labor into whatever it was or is to write a secret history for desire to be like food, touching history with desire, for history is like food on the table in the light of the window it's shared. There are some things we cannot say. No, I can't say that. The awful presence of the obvious, abdicated time never relents its demand to speak all at once, but because there's the chance, the rest of what's begun to be lost might be lost, like putting all one's bushels in an apple forever, like the story changed or forgotten to make a priestly transformation in the lives of the people and their words, like the audience imposed in proud moments by the tellers of tales or the politicians to a purpose. This present future, old as it was, is an inaccessible time where idiosyncratic Western women, most of what they call the privileged classes, but not only those, are beginning to write enough so that everyone can find a chair in heaven. I say he or she, even in history, probably never knew before. Who's crying? It's a parliament of women. I don't mention the prices of spices because talents are equal to inheritance and love, following the rules, but still the stunning stone of girls is less carved. There's no way around it, not that life is any wilder, let loose from a woman than from a man. We're all descendants of sexes, as in varying clothing, nor in the abomination of form, or ever less than the loving constriction of the great ones. or any kind of health, class, or time. After all, writing and the genius of poetry only holds up half the sky, like a woman born to a social occasion, becoming a battle or a war for change, like Freud or Sappho. You sent me a meal once in the pot I still have, where, in among that, I can only be as great as Shakespeare or Milton or Chaucer or Dante or any of the others I have the pleasure of knowing all about. But the meal I mentioned, which has only been pot roast with gravy and potatoes, not less remembered, is worshipped and defended wherever I see men in trees. I want to be a worker in trees winter long. I could paint the city if I see a cityscape. And from when I saw even want to be involved in photorealist painting, airbrush painting, pattern painting, and proposals for sculptures, performances, photos and texts, color, field painting. New image painting, silkscreen collage and watercolors, monoprints, landscape, lithographs, etchings, body art, silver point, pop art, op art, nudes, California, funk art, frescoes, floor sculpture, all kinds of wall pieces and shared canvases, outdoor projects, snow sculptures and still lifes, architectural drawings and post-minimalist sculpture, sky sculpture, all kinds of oils and figure painting, woodblock prints, murals, bronzes and monuments, tapestries, mobile seascapes, poster art and films, minimal painting, precisionist painting, formalist painting, new realist painting, minimal sculpture, abstract expressionism, even video art, narrative art, paper reliefs, aquatints, flower painting, wood carving, sketches and calligraphy, egg tempera painting, graffiti, and all kinds of photography, process art, grid painting, stripe paintings, light art, happenings, kinetic sculpture, environmental sculpture, and pastel ceramics, multimedia presentations, portraits, social realism, and collages I would ever discover roughly. Adrenaline, air conditioning, a satellite of Pluto, supermassive objects in the centers of galaxies, the airplane, the jet propulsion airplane, helicopters, mass spectrography, a stable isotopes, penicillin, insulin, and its production by bacteria, antimatter, the depth that fish inhabit, the Polaroid land camera, the all-electronic numeral integrator and calculator, the digital computer, cloning, the cultivation of truffles, the conditioned reflex, the cyclotron, the neon lamp, deuterium, selenides, fibers, polyesters and polyamides, the double helical structure of DNA, the tungsten filament, the equivalence of mass and energy, the mercury vapor lamp, nylon, heat death, recombinant DNA techniques, the laser stored program computer concept, test tube babies, antiviral drugs, restriction enzymes, paper and the loom, neuron induced radiation, nuclear fusion, the ballpoint, cosmetics, the crossbow, the drop in the sun's temperature, the first gamma ray spectral line, the rings of Uranus, sulfur ions around Jupiter, a mouse with a human chromosome, a mouse derived from six parents, radar, nuclear reactors of vacuum, electron tubes, sound motion pictures, protons, positons, polio vaccine, gunpowder, and the forked plow, the rotary internal combustion engine, the gyro compass, intelligence testing, natural satellites of asteroids, a cure for travelers' diarrhea, the automatic rifle, psychoanalysts, the special and general theories of relativity, alpha and beta particle radiation, gamma radiation, vitamins, color film with three emulsion layers, electron microscopes, geometry, a synthetic plastic, the local polymerization process, quantum theory, Wasserman test, the flush toilet, solar weather links, opposite size, three-dimensional camera, sulfur drugs, military tanks, tractors, transistors, TVs, the uncertainty principle, the Van Allen radiation bent, zero, the wheel, Lucifer yellow, charm, quarks and supernova, the end to locust plagues, the reason for the East Coast booms, the synthesis, of transranic elements using ferminium, americium, einsteinium, curium, berkelium, and californium. Animal presences of earthquakes, gravity waves, antiprotons, the nature of schizophrenia, and the first noon marker of summer solstice. I would close my eyes, red like copper, and watch you by the atomic clock, to have the luxury to love, at least in theory, invisible for a time, in the sweetest exchanges, as if the world were not enraged. You go out for cigarettes as if love is not the food of those of us satisfied enough to write, to write, to lend urgency, pleasure, to sing, to celebrate, to inspire, to reveal. You put on your cotton shoes and coat in an image and say, you'll be right back while you're out in love, is stored in intensest house, this cave of it. We go too fast, switch from the speed of variegated love, writings married and fallen in with family, though it's more exhausting to love to write than to pursue what might have been described about the past of being fast. Sometimes we feel like fools, lunatics, paranoid hermits, having manic flights with nothing coming of it, no invitation to cocktails or tea with the whole American Indian nation, no requests to write a column for the Post, no demands for words, for occasions, for public celebrations, for mourning, for invocation, for grace, for change, but each night craving any sweet joy. We still hope to live a long time. Hurry, you say, and we love to hurry, but not to spend up the night, to be rushed, to be kissed, to be irrationally married to words and produce wildness like a child or two, not grown up yet, perfection, a genius, not going as fast as the speed of the past again, where everyone is thought to be another day like a letter. We never forget about it. We run from place to answer it. Love is coveted. We have no need for the commandments alone in the house among the secrets. We still work to tell, to tell. Without pause, there is purpose. Anyone does it who is knowing all about it. How far can I go with getting away with it before I die, the fool? And if I die, I will have missed something, and I am always the same. Though I'm not 2 or even 4, I wish to be more. I don't know why, I don't know. I like to buy Christmas presents, but if I had some money today, I buy love surprises and present them to people on my list. They are Lewis, Ray, Harry, Sophia, and Marie, all the Warshes, Rosemary Meyer, Margaret de Courcy, Grace Murphy, Alice Notley, Ten, Anselm, and Edmund Berrigan, Raphael Sawyer, Lynn O'Hare, and Moses, and Bill Berkson, Bill Beverly, Marnie, and Arden Corbett, Simon Schuhat, Clark, Celia, and Susan Coolidge, Paul and Nancy Metcalf, Bob and Eileen Callahan, Bill Kushner, Charlotte Carter, Bob and Ali Rosenthal, and Rochelle Kraut, John Enslin, Ed Freeman, Kenwood Elmsley, Susan Noel, Meg Simon, Joe Brainerd, Rudy Burkhardt, Ed and Tom Bowes and Harris, and Charlie Vermont, whose 33rd birthday it is, and many other people I've seen and known. Now Lewis has come home. I thought I was going to write the story of my theory tonight. Not this desirous essay on art and home, this alarming dictionary of reformist love. Is it safe to say that knowing my notebook, the moon is coming up, I have something to do with that? Tonight, the Shah of Iran is not watching his 40-inch TV, or what might be the dread implications of overwhelming power has become a confusion for the magic wishes of everyone, and the titillating knowledge of almost everything lost before in the complicated stories of dreams, where the moment is supreme, so joint with the past, found in awakening to love and rearranging this world, at best, at random, translated by the eyes of ice to detail of truth. Something is discovered. We wait to see what happens. We hope It's not a war of suffering. What the women will shake off the veil in the myriad future of our still revolutionary, munificent dreams, our lust for surprise, benefiting us like the sun, like the supplicating weather we fear may suddenly change from what is to another ice age, not before the climate warms undetectably, forcing us to move to the moon. There we gather, supplies in airtight containers, force ideas from dreams to develop the craft of sleep. Keep in touch with what's happening, wonder at nature, emergencies, extreme heat, cold and unassailably new beauty, births, unusual time, exposures of the earth, intercourse, sex, copulation, fucking. I think I wrote this in the dark. There's light in my eyes afterwards by chance, like a family. That dumb street light, like a moon, shines in my one window, out of the nine in the house with its green, white town, pinkish light, rich in ultraviolet and actinic rays. And with my eyes, I'm reading a paper, and as fucking in mercury vapor, I found I was finding another position for the diaphragm, like a curtain in the moon's oval pebbles. Under the exciting microscope of the Western world, I speak out loud against it. Other lights in the town might be broken by accident or widespread vandalism, but they're too high and look like Christ on the cross with hands of an eyes fluorescent fish, like a talent unspoilt and queer. To be me is to be queer, slept after death, its modesty deriving what from the eyes of the immodest living is offered to the cost of a ruinous leaving. Well, I have to close them. This paid incandescent light is like the vigil of the Virgin, lest to tell before my eyes I'll end. From the dreams I made sentences, then what I've seen today, then the past of the past, afternoons of stories like memory, to seeing as plain introductions to modes of love and reason, then to end, I guess, with love, a method to this winter season. Now I've said this love, it's all I can remember of midwinter day on the 22nd of December. Welcome, sun, at last with thy softer light, takes the bite from winter weather and weaves the random cloth of life together and drives away the long black night. To Bernadette, and thanks to Sasha Akhtar and to Kalan Gayav. Bless up. Nostar.